Hello, how you guys doing out there?
Hey,
Happy 2022. You have ended here at Real Estate Reality, the live stream with Darren and Joe over at Urban Hillsides Real Estate. Thanks for joining us today. I guess we should just start with where we are. There's some firsts actually this year for us, isn't it, Darren? So where are we? We're on location. It's our first on location live stream. So where are we?
we are at 5409 Clybourne. It is a bankruptcy sale, single family ADU, some complexities there, but nice property.
And that's our reveal, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about it later as part of our subject for today. But the other first, Darren, is we're in the same room.
Right.
In the same broadcast, talking to you guys. So
without masks.
No masks.
You know, I sit down, I have lunch with you. This isn't much different.
Well, we're boosted. We're doing as much as we can. Yeah, we hope you guys are out there. But yeah, just short of actually having an audience, this is pretty cool. Very historical. So anyway, so today's broadcast or live stream is going to be short. We just finished out an open house for this North Hollywood home. But we're going to talk about the market. I know, Darren, we're not the ones to predict, but we can certainly share with you some of the things that we've read, and you can take it for what it is. As I always say, it's more important, what's your personal market and how it relates to getting a home or another property. So we'll talk about the market. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is this property and the complexities of it all, who it's for, who it might not be for, and give you kind of a behind the scenes view of a bankruptcy sale here. So and just the quick disclaimer, I don't have it in front of me. Certainly these are opinions of Urban Hillsides and not Avenue 8, and take it as that, opinions. Do your own due diligence. This is simply advice and opinions from us. Do your own due diligence when you're making an investment, any investment, not just real estate. All right, so here we are, first show, first on location.
Sure.
What do you want to say about this place?
Well, let's talk about market first, maybe.
Okay.
The pretty consistent consensus is that the market will be a little slower into 2022. But most people predicting the direction of the market is a steady increase.
Yeah.
For those of you who've been waiting for a turnaround, it's not expected to be in the cards from most sources that we're hearing out there.
Yeah.
There's still, and it's the same thing, right? There is a component where we get being a broken record. It's just low inventory. I know, but you got to say it. At this point, affordability is becoming more of an issue. Fourth quarter really spiked up in prices.
Right.
So who knows where all that's going to play out for the year. And it's always hard to predict at this time of the year.
Yeah.
So, right, we're talking about how there was a good amount of closings coming to the end of the year. And that's going to be tax related, people wanting to close in 2021. So we saw a good burst of closings the last couple of weeks, but very few new listings. So really hard to predict how the inventory is going to adjust if you're out there in the market now. We often say it's a great time to look because somebody's awfully serious if they're listing at this time of year. Really starting to predict inventory won't come until further into January or maybe even into February to start seeing if there are opportunities and if that's going to adjust at all. And inventory will be probably the most important component to try to predict where the market will go.
I haven't caught up with it. Maybe you've read something about it, but in terms of the interest rates, has there been any update on that? I know they were talking about 3 this year.
Right. Gosh.
And a need to do it, but
it's yes. No, there's nothing further beyond that I've seen, but they're adaptable. The Fed tries to give you a sense of direction and where they want to go. But in reality, then they look out and see how the economy responds.
Right.
And if the economy responds negatively, they adjust.
Yeah.
If it responds positively, then they go forward with it. And they could even end up pushing through one, and if there's a negative response, pausing on others.
Right.
So look, man, I think interest rates are incredibly low, and it's great to try to get in with these rates. There's been a concern about rates rising for, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah.
Because they've been historically low forever.
We've gotten so used to it.
We really are near the bottom. Yeah, no matter how you talk about a broken record. At historic low rates, that's a broken record. But it's real. Here we are. It will affect real estate prices if rates do rise a substantial amount.
Right.
I think this won't happen this year. But like if you start talking to rates go up a whole point,
right.
From 3 to 4, right. Now we're having a direct impact on the market, and they're probably going to try to avoid that. So they're going to try to ease into it. Is the bottom line. And rates are the number 2 components that are going to affect what happens for the year in real estate.
Got it. Okay. So a little early now, but we will start seeing maybe some signs in February, March.
Yeah, this is why we do a weekly broadcast. I mean, there's things that come up that could change the trajectory of the market, and we always just want to inform you of things that could affect it and what's happening. But in the end, the reality is, often with real estate, is you're looking back at firm numbers on where things have shifted. You're trying to predict the future, but the reality is what's happened, and that's looking back.
Okay. All right. Well, great. So again, if you have your own questions that pertain more towards you, let us know, and we're happy to speak with you. Let me go ahead and share a screen, Darren. Let me see if I can get this done. And let's see here. I'm going to open up our North Hollywood property. Let's see.
Yeah, and I think while you do that, Joe, I'll just chat a little bit. So you'll see some of our marketing. You'll see, a property, how we present it, even here walking through the 3D scan, which is always a great way. It's so awesome that these are more common. I think it should be on every listing personally, but that's fine. It makes us stand out a bit as far as limiting access. If it's not needed, you can do the 3D scan, you might be done. But also just really being able to go back and reference it. This tool also has a lot of great things like measuring devices. And, when you see a lot of houses, you forget what some of the spaces are. This always allows you to go back and reference those details. So we're going to show you that, and we'll walk you through this property, but then we're also going to talk about a bankruptcy sale. And you're probably going to just, in listening to us about that, have an understanding of how technical some of these things get, and our desire and commitment to be detailed. I think often there's an emotional component to a purchase, but it's important to know that the details are being paid attention to so that you can make informed decisions. And it always comes back to that for us.
Okay, so here we are. We're on urbanhillsides.com, and let me see if I can do this. There we go. So I'm going to open it up to part 1 of 2. How do we talk about this?
Sure. All right. So, gosh, I've been sitting here. I've said this probably about 10 plus times today, at least, maybe 20 times. This is a Chapter 7 bankruptcy sale. Okay. Chapter 11 is reorganization. Chapter 7 is liquidation. So if you have an asset and you file bankruptcy in Chapter 7 for liquidation, and there's value in that asset, the bankruptcy court can choose to sell it. It's a tough situation, and we're very empathetic when we engage directly with sellers in that process. But we do represent the court, and the trustee who's working through the court and is assigned by the court to process the bankruptcy. So we're dealing with attorneys, we're dealing with court systems, and we're navigating all that and informing every buyer that's calling us or walking through an open house as far as what to expect, the best we can. And some people, it's just not for them. It's too involved. There's maybe too many risks, but you can also get some value. And this is an example of that. So this property, which Joe is navigating through, is a little unique. They all have their own story. This property was an addition to a single-family home, a two-story addition to an existing single-family home, which was very small, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. And they built this, and then the owner builder decided, well, maybe I want to do a single-family ADU instead. Leave the original structure as an ADU. And in the end, was going back and forth and struggling with it. Tried to sell it with it partially done, not fully permitted yet. And in the end, ran out of money, unfortunately, and filed bankruptcy. And then the court decided that the property should be sold to help settle the bankruptcy. So here we are selling a well-presented two-story addition that has been staged, and not even by us, shows well, and is about 97, 98% finished. Yeah. So a little more to finish, a good value because it's not finished, for somebody who's willing to come in and complete it. There is a component in this one, though, because they have not issued a certificate of occupancy and received completion of final permits yet. It does have to be cash or hard money. A lot of bankruptcies can actually be a traditional loan, but this one cannot. So these are the things that we're talking about. We've acquired floor plans. We're presenting these issues. We've reached out to the city of LA and spoken with the building inspector to get his details on what's needed to help complete the project, at least going in one direction as a single family. We're presenting those options. So, a lot of details, a lot of work, a lot of patience, but we'll get this sold. And it certainly doesn't present itself as a distressed property in the presentation. It shows well.
Well, today, we had an open house, and there were definitely some retail buyers there.
Yeah.
That were attracted to this because, I'm showing you right now what it looks like. The picture looks good. It's a brand new construction, more or less. Beautiful area, great area. For a retail buyer, though, what's going to be the stopper on this, other than the cash and the hard money loan? What if they do have cash?
Right. It ends up being the unknown of what's left to finish construction. And if one person who was here, they kept saying, oh, well, that's complicated to navigate that. I'm like, well, it's not complicated. It's involved. It's complicated if you haven't done it.
Right.
Unfortunately, for anyone who's dealt with the city of Los Angeles, things just aren't quite black and white. Although I've acquired a list, it should be very close to that, but it could alter. And, somebody who's dealt with the city understands that, and they just know that, and they kind of have to add that into the mix.
Right. And
they should factor that into their offer. But for somebody who hasn't, that's freaking scary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those people are not going to be comfortable with a purchase like this.
And for the investors that came, do you think they had a good grasp of it?
I think we've done a really good job in presenting it. And we had, materials, graphics, floor plans, a list, all to kind of tie it all together.
Right.
I feel like we've done that as well as it could be done. And now it's left to city owner connection on and really grinding it out, which we can't do. We're not taking that step. So, even half of the investors were a little concerned. And there isn't, when we sell a bankruptcy property, there isn't we're trying not to leave a lot of meat on the bone. We are trying to sell it for the highest price. And some investors just want a lot left. And that's, that's based on who they are.
Right.
I think some investors, and in all sincerity, a couple $100,000 isn't enough for them. They want a bigger margin. And maybe sometimes that's because they're slower or because their costs to do the work are higher.
Right.
I don't know these answers.
Right.
but we're in that range, but it might be too tight for a few of them, was the sense I got themselves with the unknowns.
Yeah.
I think there's clearly a difference with investors and investor builders that I've seen. Like, there are people that can get this done. I can see somebody getting this done for $20,000, and I can see another person costing $100,000.
Right.
In reality, some people are better at their jobs than others.
Yeah.
So it'll work for those, and they'll make more money for those who can be efficient.